Hey, what's up? What's up? Peace, 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 everybody. What's going on? It's your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect. So tonight I want to talk about why I am so intrigued with quantum physics and consciousness. Why are these two subjects so intriguing to me? Why do I find so much interest in them? Well, you know what? That's a question that I always wonder. But I guess I can come up with the answer. So I think the reason why I'm so intrigued with learning about quantum physics, let me start with that, is because quantum physics keep you guessing. It keep you guessing, keep you questioning and wondering, well, what's more to it? What's behind this mystery science? So to me, quantum physics is like theoretical physics in a sense, because it's like it's giving you prediction, right? It doesn't give you absolute answers. Okay. So because if we look at the word quantum deals with mathematics. So when you're dealing with mathematics, you're dealing with things at subatomic level, right? Subatomic particle level, and like such as protons, neutrons, electrons. So you're trying to calculate these things or whatnot, and that's what you're doing. Um, and that's one of the main things because it's about calculation and it's based on observation. And based on, when it's based on observation, it's pretty much based on subjectivity, based on the person who have done their research. So you're not going to always get the exact answer. So I think with quantum physics, it keeps me just guessing all the time, keeps me wondering, and I'm trying to figure out, well, what else can I find? What other things can I find with this subject matter? It makes it different from all other science. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with all science, you're still gonna have to do ongoing research, but quantum physics is something just very unique on its own. So it's like a separation. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, it's very intriguing. So it takes a lot of brain to figure things out. You may not figure it all the way out, but you're like close to the answer. Also, not just also my thing is consciousness. So let me talk about why I like consciousness. Well, just like quantum physics, it keeps you guessing. So consciousness, it's very funny because see, we use the word consciousness a lot, and it get kind of tricky. Because consciousness can be based on the subjectivity and can be based on the objectivity. All right. So consciousness doesn't always equate to being absolute. It doesn't always equate to concrete. It could be abstract as well. What do I mean by abstract? Abstract means that there is some type of principle behind it. You know what I'm saying? There's some type of symbolic meaning behind it. Whereas you do got the concrete of things. So when I say concrete, let's say, for example, you awaken. When you're awakened, right, that's the sign of consciousness. But the symbolic meaning is what makes it more unique. So again, with consciousness, just like quantum physics, it keeps you guessing. It keeps you asking questions and wondering, well, where does consciousness lie? Where is consciousness? How long has consciousness been around? Did consciousness come into development on its own? Or did it develop right along with the human process? Did it develop around the same time that the brain and everything else developed? So you're asking a lot of questions. You're trying to figure things out. And then when you try to intertwine the two together, there's a middle ground. So the middle ground will be neuroscience. Because with the neuroscience, you're trying to incorporate that with trying to bring in quantum physics and consciousness together. But again, it takes observation. So at the same time, you can only speculate that the two may go together, but you don't have an absolute answer. So it gives you an opportunity to be able to use some form of speculation and be able to to be able to think, and you continuously research and you continuously ask questions. You continuously research and you continuously ask questions all the time, because that's what you do. You're trying to figure out what's going on. Where is consciousness? What is quantum physics? How does quantum physics relate to consciousness? So that's all. That's just where I stand with my position on why I'm so intrigued. I don't have an absolute answer, and I never will have an answer to it. But I only can have my own opinion, my own thoughts, based on my own understanding. So, and quantum physics is not really easy to understand. Even the scientists themselves admits that they don't really understand quantum physics, and that's very weird. We're talking about very scientists out there. And speaking on the concept of science, while I'm on the subject, we tend to think that scientists did not use any form of spirituality or even try to dig into spirituality, into understanding the natural world of the phenomena. And that's not the case, because if we look at people like Carl Sagan, who was a scientist, but he also dealt with some form of spirituality, and David Bohm, when he did his interview with Jada Krishnamurti, he was not only studying science, but he also studied the components of spirituality and how it intertwines with science. Albert Einstein, it's so many of them. But you have to look at this, because you have to go into the origin. Okay, you gotta go into the origin. Where how did science get here? Science got here through the concept of what we call spirituality. That's the pre-science, the ancient science, the proto-science. All right. That's how the concept of science came into development, through the ideology of spirituality. And as I mentioned in my video before about the days of the week, the months, they were all named after Roman Greek gods. So that goes to show you that there were some spiritual components behind it. All right. But now you can separate spirituality from science, and you can study science on its own, seeing from the scientific. You can see things from scientifically, and you can see things from spiritually. But at one point in time, it was just a spiritual component, which was the proto-science or the pre-science, that brought things into development. But yeah, and then you gotta understand spirituality got its concept from philosophy. So philosophy pretty much incorporated all of this. Philosophy even brought the foundation. Epistemology was the foundation as well. So one day, I already did a video about philosophy, but I'm gonna have to go back and do it again, because I want to get into more concept about epistemology and ontology, because ontology is a form of philosophy that deals with just the state of being, state of existing. And maybe one day I could do something about metaphysics, but I would have to study more into metaphysics, because that's another one. Metaphysics is not as easily understood as people think it is. You know what I'm saying? It's more to metaphysics than just the spiritual component of it. Not saying that it doesn't have any spiritual attributes to it, but it's a lot more. It goes a lot deeper than what people think. So yeah, I will one day go into like various form of philosophy, like epistemology, which deals with the theory of knowledge and its logic, etc. Ontology, dealing with the state of being. Metaphysics, of course, going beyond the physical and questioning the existence and where, how, and when, what, etc. Uh, and phenomenology. Phenomenology is dealing with the study of one's experience throughout life. It's a lot of things I'm gonna get into. So one day, I will make a topic about those things because I think that these things are very valuable and it's very important because it really plays a role into how we think as humans, how we interpret things as humans, and how we deal with a lot of things and whatnot. As a matter of fact, I want to read something that somebody posted on Facebook real fast because this kind of draws to where I'm going with this. Hold on. Somebody posted something. Okay. So an individual had posted this on Facebook. I won't put the person's name out there, but I thought it was very intriguing. So this person put the indigenous study of religion, science, mathematics, psychology, and government is the study of man and his potential. The indigenous study of religion, science, mathematics, psychology, and government is the study of man and his potential. That's the key point right there. The study of man and his potential. It is significant to note that Western sciences write off subjects as astrology, alchemy, numerology as being superstitious. The scientists of ancient Kemet understood that you could not talk about mathematics without talking about the human being. Facts. Ancient Kemet numerology talks about the relationship between symbolic quantification and human expression. And this came from Dr. Naeem Akbar. That was the quote from his book called Light from Ancient Africa. And I think that is very valuable because it's a way of showing the study of man and his potential to understand the nature around him, to understand his environment. Well, humans in general, to understand their environment. Peace, Brother Chauncey. I hope everything going well with you. Yeah, it's a way for men to understand their environment, what human beings are in general. So they're trying to understand how nature operates, the component of nature, organism, whatnot. So that's where you bring in philosophy. So that's where the philosophy come in because you start off having these thoughts, you just start off having these ideas, these beliefs, and these wisdom. And then when you start to go into researching and studying, that's when you're gonna get more answers, or you're gonna discover a lot of things that may challenge your perception about the world around you. Yeah, so that quote right there is very valuable. I think that is very significant. But kind of going back to what I was saying before, at some point, all humans have used some form of consciousness or what we perceive as consciousness. You're right. Everything is everything, Philip. You're correct. I think human has used some form of what we call consciousness throughout humanity, throughout life. And also, we have used some form of quantum physics without even knowing that we use quantum physics. Because again, you're dealing with mathematics. So if you don't deal with mathematics, then you won't have a quantum physics at all. So we use science every single day, and we don't even know it. We use science in our personal lives. Yeah, we do. But I want to share something. As a matter of fact, if you guys don't have this book, you need to get it. It's called Quantum Physics for Beginners. The most compelling phenomena of quantum physics made easy the law of attraction and theory of relativity. All right. And you know what? Speaking of relativity, it's funny that scientists to this day, they pretty much proven Albert Einstein to be right. I mean, as a matter of fact, I can pull up something and I'm going to read it to y'all. Okay. So, scientists have pretty much proven that Albert Einstein was correct all along. Like everything that he said was not always incorrect or 100% correct. I'm gonna pull it up. Y'all give me a moment. Okay, here it go right here. Peace, Gullah. How you doing? I think this is it. Okay, a major Einstein theory was just proven right 106 years later. It says in 1905, Albert Einstein wrote 4 groundbreaking papers on quantum theory and relativity. One was on Brownian motion, one earned him the Nobel Prize in 1921, and one outlined the foundation of special relativity. It became known as Einstein Honest, was it Mirabilis or Wondrous Year. It said, but it's Einstein's last 1905 paper that is the most unexpected. The paper is just two pages long, and it's outlined how special relativity might explain a strange aspect of radioactivity decay. As Marie Curie most famously demonstrated, some materials such as radium salt can emit particles with much more energy than is possible from simple chemistry. Einstein's little paper speculated that the excess energy might be balanced by a loss of mass of the nuclear particles. This idea eventually led to Einstein's most famous equation, E equals mc squared. All right, so we know that that's the speed of light. All right. Then it goes on to say how Einstein changed particle physics. This equation is often taken to mean that matter and energy are two sides of the same coin. It actually means that the apparent mass and energy of an object depend upon the relative motion of an observer. Because of this, the two are intertwined, similar to the connection between space and time. One consequence of this relation is that under the right circumstances, objects should be able to produce energy via a loss of mass. We now know this is exactly what happens in radioactivity decay. The effects is also how stars create energy in their core via nuclear fusion. You see that? So basically, Einstein was a genius. I mean, so many other that was a genius, but this is why so many people gave a lot of respect to Einstein, because he studied on various subjects and he studied so hard on physics. Of course, especially when it came to like learning about the attitude of electron, the attitude of protons, and how the particles move and the speed of light, etc. Like Einstein really brought that into existence. So that's why a lot of people, a lot of people gave a lot of respect to him. And there's so many other, like Edwin Schrödinger. Edwin Schrödinger was another one, very prominent, very well respected. Um, Nicola Tesla is another scientist that's well respected in the scientific community, and there's so many others. Even the people that came before them, um, Nicholas what's his name? Nicholas Copernicus or something like that. The guy that invented he the one came up with the concept about the Earth, no, the sun being the center of the universe. I think his name Copernicus or something. But anyways, he was the one that came up with the concept of that. And he didn't even have all the technological advances. He went through the trials and errors. So, I mean, it's a lot of things that's amazing. So all the information in the past was not always pseudo. It's not always pseudo because it can be validated for today. But there's some information there are invalid and there's no longer needed because things proven that to be outdated, and we're in a time that things are more upgraded. So I think that in a time like this, quantum physics eventually is going to be more exposed in the scientific field than ever. But for right now, I mean, although it is a physics, but it's like the mystery part of physics. Thank you, Copernicus. Yeah, Copernicus. Thank you, Gullah. But anyways, yeah, I think that no, the Earth is not the center of the universe because that was the religion ideology of Philip, that the Earth was the center of the universe. But people like Galileo and Copernicus, they all disagree with that because that came from the concept of religion. Is basically the sun was the center of the universe and the earth revolved around the sun. Whereas the religious people thought that the sun revolved around the earth, and that was not the case. You know what I'm saying? So somebody put tomatic. Yeah, tomatic. Yeah, that's another one. Thank you. Another one, tomatic. Yeah, so it's a lot of scientists that came along, and like I said, some of their stuff were debunked, and then there were those whose information was added on and was proven to be correct. And then that's just an amazing thing about it. But getting back to what I was saying about quantum physics, eventually, it's gonna gain a lot more exposure than ever. But it's like right now, it's like it's like right now with quantum physics, it's like the underdog of physics. If that makes sense. It's like the underdog of physics. Why do I say it's the underdog? Because it's not as popular in the mainstream like all the other sciences, like all the other physics. Like astrophysics is very popular. You got applied physics that's very popular. You got nuclear physics, all of that, that's very popular. But quantum physics is kind of like the underdog type of physics. But I think when more and more research starts coming out regarding to the subject, it's going to become more popular. And when more research on consciousness come into place, especially when it's intertwined with quantum physics, it's going to start to become more popular too. So that's my opinion. I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Gullah. He put not so much religion; it was absolutism in court that had to do with a lot of this as well. I mean, I agree that the court has a lot to do with it as well, but also, but it was more so religion because religion was pushing that ideology. You got to remember that also religion was intertwined with government at the time period too. You know what I mean? So if you take, for example, this is why we live in, like how we live in the United States. Why do we got the judicial system the way we have it today is because of how religion and government was working in cahoots with each other. So a lot of the judicial system comes from the idea of religion per se, or those who in those religious field, so it was more so religion. Yeah, it was more so religion that was pushing it, because religion became like the center of science at that time. So religion was the one that figured, hey, we got all the answers. This is where you go. You cannot challenge this, because this is God's word. This is what God said. So because this is God's word, you are not to challenge it. No one is to challenge God's word. No one is to challenge God's ideology. Or if you do so, then that's going to be punishable. So people like Galileo, for example, when he challenged the ideology of the Catholic Church, which was the biggest, the most popular Christianity sect at the time, that became punishable. It was punishable. He received punishment for that, because it's like, oh, you're going against the church, so you're going against the higher authority. You're going against the people of God, and when you go against the people of God, you're going against God. Galileo Cordia, The Practice of Science in the Culture of Absolutism by Mario Bagali. All right, I'm gonna have to look into that book. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and jot that down. Let me jot that down. Give me 1 second. I want to jot this down. Okay, let me jot this down. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and find it right now while I'm on here. Okay, I found it. All right, I found it. I found it. And Philip said, raise up a child in a righteous way. I agree with you, Philip. I agree with that. And you know what? And speaking of religion, right? Even quantum physics would probably be considered as something sinister. Why would I say that? Well, because again, you're dealing with calculation of particles and all of that. So if quantum physics was used during that time period to disprove or discredit a lot of religious leaders, or the absolute, or those who was absolute about their ideology, then it'll be considered as something very sinister. It would be sinister to say this, or it would be sinister to say that. It will be very sinister. It will show you the politics basically of all of this behind the scenes, using his test on water and a few other things, explain how the politics business work in these epochs. Even his work with Medicaid work is explained. He painted them as the universe. That's interesting. I will have to look deeper into that. The Medicaid or the Medici. The Medici. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. Well, I have to look into that, Gullah. I'll have to look into that. That's hey Ibibo. I hope everything going well with you, EB Ball. Thank you for coming through. But yeah, I guess, with what I'm saying is you have to get to the point where I guess you have to put yourself in the shoe of a scientist. I guess you have to put yourself in the mind of a scientist. Because when you put yourself in the mind of a scientist, that's when you start to like really. That's when you really. That's when you start to really to explore things. Like you go on an adventure. Like your mind takes you on in the Wonderland. Like you Alice in Wonderland. Like you just go into the adventure. Well, that's good. I'm glad that everybody's doing well. Yeah, it takes you in the world of Wonderland. So when you deal with quantum physics and consciousness, you're going into like it's like Alice going into Wonderland, but she going into Wonderlands of science. I know. All right, but I want to read something from this book real fast. It's called The Ancient Origins of Consciousness: How the Brain Created Experience. So in this book right here, if you guys can see this book, Alessandro de Medici was the black one. Giggles. His nickname was the Moor. No jokes. Oh, it was a person. Oh, okay. I thought the Medici work was just like some type of art that Galileo used, but I didn't know that it was named after a person. Okay. See, now I'm learning something new. See, I didn't know about Alessandro de Medici. I gotta look into him. But anyways, this book right here is called The Ancient Origin of Consciousness: How the Brain Create Experience. So what I want to do is I guess what I want to do is I want to read something out this book. All right, so this one is the first chapter. It's called The Mystery of Subjectivity. So it says something it is like to be, but no matter how the form may vary, the fact that an organism have conscious experience at all means basically that there is something it is like to be that organism. Fundamentally, an organism has conscious mental state if and only if there is something that it is like to be that organism. Something it is like for the organism, we may call this subjective character of experience. That's deep. All right, and this is a quote by Thomas Nigel, Thomas Nigel. And it goes on to say, have you ever wondered whether a fish or a frog or a bat or a bee is conscious? Supposing you could actually get inside the brain of a bird, what criteria would you use to decide whether it is sentient? How could you know, as Nigel put it in his class in 1974 paper, if there is something it is like to be a bat? Nigel was saying that the way to judge whether an animal is conscious is not by how intelligent it is or how big its brain is, but rather by whether that organism has subjective experiences. I mean, what I think that all organisms have some form of subjective experiences. I mean, if you really put it that way, any organism gonna have it's not gonna be able to verbally tell you like a human being could be able to tell another human being, or it's not gonna be able to express it. But it has some form of subjective experiences, but we may not be able to interpret what other organism may have experienced. Yeah, subjective. I'm gonna go back. It says, I'm gonna read it one more time, Philip. It says, how could you know, as Nigel put it put it in his class in 1974 paper. If there is something it is like to be a bat, Nigel was saying that the way to judge whether an animal is conscious is not by how intelligent it is or how big its brain is, but rather by whether that organism has subjective experiences. And again, we all have our own subjective experience. We all do. So, but again, all organisms can't interpret that. They have their own way of experiencing things. So animals cannot come to you and interpret and say, hey, I experienced this, or this is what happened. You will have to figure it out. You will have to take a guess at what they may have experienced based on how they act. But overall, an animal can't tell you verbatim that, hey, this is what I experienced, or this is what it's like for me to be an animal. You can only imagine what it's like to be an animal, or like, what it's like to be a dog or a cat. Or you can only feel what they might feel, but you don't know exactly what they have experienced because they can't tell you verbatim. You know what I'm saying? So yes, observational, absolutely. You can use observation. Or you can use speculation, but you're not going to be able to fully interpret it because an animal can't tell you verbatim what they're going through or what it's like for them to be the animal they are. But I believe that is possible. But let me continue. It says the aspect of consciousness that comes closest to something it is like to be and that poses the greatest scientific challenge is sensory consciousness. Sensory consciousness is also called phenomenal consciousness, primary consciousness, perpetual consciousness, or the experiencing of qualia, perceived qualities, as defined by anti-reversal. Sensory experiences do not have to be elaborated, lingering, or human-like to be conscious. That's deep. But anyways, let's continue. It says the mere occurrence or presence of any experience is a necessary and minimally sufficient condition for phenomenal consciousness. For any entity to possess primary phenomenal consciousness only requires that there are at least some patterns, any patterns at all, of subjective experience present for it. It is purely about the having of any sort of patterns of subjective experience, whether simple or complex, faint or vivid, meaningful or meaningless, fleeting or lingering. And now that's deep. That's deep. See, I think this book is recommended because, again, it goes into the ancient origin about consciousness, or what we call consciousness. Let me see what you guys said on here. Dr. Doolittle can dang it, he got a gerbil that sounds just like Chris Rock. I seen it. That's Dr. Doolittle. That's a movie, though. That's the movie. That's Dr. Doolittle's movie, though. That's his movie. But let me go ahead and read some more passages in this book. It says, if we want to know how the brain creates subjective experiences or whether an animal possesses something it is like to be, then investigating the origins and basis of sensory consciousness is the best place to start. This is because sensory consciousness allows a brain to create an inner world of personal experience. If an animal creates subjective, qualitative, single point of view awareness, then that animal possesses something it is like to be. Therefore, this book is not about higher consciousness, self-consciousness, access consciousness, reflective consciousness of one's own thoughts, intelligent consciousness, or theory of mind. It is about explaining the nature and origins of the most basic sensory type of consciousness. How the brain creates this experience still eludes a satisfying scientific explanation. Why? Well, again, the study of consciousness is very complex. So And when I say very complex, it requires a lot of question and a lot of digging and observation. So there are people that believe that consciousness exists, and there are those who don't believe that it exists, or that it's really no such thing as what we call consciousness. So yeah, it's still an ongoing research. Like I said, that's still a mystery. Right along with quantum physics, it could still be a mystery. I think they say we are at 711 senses now as human. I'm not sure how true that is. I would have to look into that, Gullah. I don't know about the 711 senses now. I never heard of that. Philip, you said so a bird can be mad. I mean, yeah, a bird can be mad in his own way. He may not come up and tell you that, hey, I got an attitude or I'm in a bad mood, but a bird can probably have his own. A bird can have a days where he may not feel like he want to be bothered with anybody or be bothered with any human or any other birds. So I'm quite sure that birds can have emotions, but their emotions may not be interpreted the way it may not be expressed the way we express our emotion as humans. Proprioception is one they don't teach us. We didn't teach excuse me. Proprioception is one they don't teach us well, didn't teach us growing up, for example. Elaborate a little bit more, Gullah, what you mean by that. Elaborate what you mean by that. Proprioception. Elaborate on it. Yeah, 7 are determined, fighting to get to 11. Look up proprioception real quick. True story. Okay, well, you know what? While I'm on here, I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna look that up. So there's some things that y'all turn me on to, because I tell you, I don't have a lot of answers to a lot of stuff. So let's see.
Proprioception.
Proprioception. Okay, proprioception. Let's look that up. What is proprioception? Okay, proprioception is perception or awareness of the position and movement of the body. Let's look into that while we on here. Proprioception. All right. Proprioception, also referred to as kinesthesia, is the sense of self-movement and body position. It's sometimes described as the sixth sense. Well, I thought the sixth sense would be the mind. Let's see. Taste, smell, hear, see. Hold on. Yeah, taste. Yeah, taste, smell, hear, see, and touch. And I thought the sixth sense would be the mind. Okay, I thought the sixth sense would be the mind. I didn't think that. Proprioception is sometimes described as the sixth sense. Okay, it says proprioception is meditated by proprioceptors, mechanosensory neurons located within muscles, tendons, and joint. Most animals possesses multiple subtype of proprioceptors, which detect distinct kinematic parameters such as joint position, movement, and load. Although all mobile animals possess proprioceptors, the structure of the sensory organ can vary across species. And proprioceptive signals are transmitted to the central nervous system, where they are integrated with information from other sensory systems, such as the visual system and the vest- vestibular system, to create an overall representation of body position, movement, and acceleration. In many animals, sensory feedback from proprioceptors is essential for stabilizing body posture and coordinating body movement. Although they lack neurons, a form of proprioception has also been described in some plants. Mm. Okay, so I'm trying to get an understanding. Maybe they're trying to say based on your body movement, based on your posture, based on your gesture, give some type of sign and indication. So that's when I'm trying to understand it, because this is my first time learning about this terminology. So I'm thinking when you talk about proprioceptors or proprioception, that's basically dealing with the posture and the gesture, which gives some type of indication to or it sends some type of signal or message to other organism, or to to other organism, as far as as far as the indication and meaning. So it's basically dealing with nonverbal communication. Hmm. It's kind of like if you close your eyes, put your hand out, you could still sense where your head and other body parts are. You will not need me to teach you how to put your hand on your nose with your eyes closed. By you know it on your own by sensing it. Right. Because you already know your body sends some type of signal to where you need to touch. Sense the direction that feeling go that way. Oh, okay. I'm trying to think. Sense of direction. Sense of direction. It's like that signal in your brain that tells you what way to go, which way to, or how to do, or what direction you need to do. That would be intuitive. So basically, it's like your intuition. It's like that little voice in your head or something. Basically, that's what it sounds like. It's like that message that your brain sends to your body. And when that message sends when your brain sends the message to your body responds to the message that your brain sent to you. I'm trying to be able to get a better understanding where you guys coming from with this. I mean, make sure help me out, because I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding. Because to me, it sounds like you're basically saying like that part of your brain or your nervous system that sends some type of signal to your body, and that without actually, that helps your body to be able to respond better, which is why you have some form of memory. So without somebody saying raise your hand, your body's going to automatically raise its hand, because there's the part of the brain that send that signal to your body to say raise your hand. Or like nobody has to say put up the number, put the symbol two up, put up two fingers. You can automatically put up two fingers because that's that signal in your brain that's telling you put up two fingers, right? Hopefully I'm getting this. Maybe I just want to make sure I'm getting an understanding of it, getting some type of clarification. Hmm. All right. That's what it sounds like to me in Bebo, repetition. That's what it sounds like. So it sounds like repetition to me. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. But you know what? I would have to look more. I would have to dig more into it to a certain aspect. I remember we still learn the nervous system. Yeah, it's a lot of components about the nervous system. It's a lot. So it's a lot to it. But I think I understand where you're getting at, Gullah. I think I understand where you're coming from with this. It sounds like basically you're telling me it has a lot to do with equilibrium as well. It gets deep. Okay then. But so far, I kind of understand what you're talking about. I kind of get what you're saying. Basically, you're saying like the signal and the message that your brain sends to your body, type of thing. That's so far that's what I'm getting. So again, I will have to look more into that. That's my first time even to learn about that and that terminology. I mean, I know that we have more than five senses, but I thought the sixth sense would be dealing with the mind or the brain or whatever. Or well, not the mind, what is it called? What is it called? Oh, to think. Because again, let's repeat the five senses, right? Feel, feel, taste, smell, hear, touch, and think, right? So I thought that to think or the mind would be the six senses of the human body. You know what? I would have to look more into it. Telekinesis. I thought the six senses was baby mama alert. We messed up. I don't know nothing about the baby mama alert. Oh boy. The baby mama alert. That's a new one. Well, I think I think the telekinesis is more so dealing with like being able to perceive what's on somebody's mind. Like when you talk about telekinesis of Philip, that would be more like perceiving, like being able to like predict what somebody's thinking or what type of thought somebody having. Just based on channeling their thoughts or channeling their mind or whatever. Which I think that's possible. I think it's possible to to figure out what somebody might be thinking, or to pretty much like sense what's on the person's mind. Hold on, let me make sure I got it right. Yeah, okay. Hold on. All right, telekinesis is a alleged psychic ability allowing a person to influence a physical system without Physical interaction. Oh, never mind. My bad. My bad. I got it mixed up. Hold on. Hold on. I got it mixed up. I thought I got telekinesis mixed up with telepathy. That's telepathy, being able to suppose communicate with thoughts or idea by means other than the known senses. So, what it means to be telepathic, a way of communicating thoughts directly from one person's mind to another person's mind without using words or signals. Okay, that's why I got telekinesis mixed up with telepathy. Ah, I got that mixed up. I got that mixed up together. Well, I was thinking about telepathy versus telekinesis. Let me see. They know when your ass is cheating, though. Well, not necessarily. They can speculate, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they know that you're cheating all the time. That could be based on speculation, but they have to be able to have some facts to prove it to be true, or be able to use some form of interrogation. No, with telepathy, you don't use some form of verbal communication. If somebody considers themselves telepathic, there's no form of communication. You are able to like perceive a person's thought without actually giving like any type of signal or any form of communication. All right, let me. Okay, telekinesis, the supposed ability to move objects at a distance by mental power or other non-physical means. Well, telekinesis, you can't move no physical object. So that's considered to be pseudoscientific because I could be staring at an object all day. Now it may look like it's moving because my eyes is staring at it. So, it's like I'm in a state of being able to daydream or whatever. So if an object look like it's moving, it's because I'm daydreaming. But in all actuality, the object is not moving. So that would be more so like optical illusion type of thing. Because when you look at an object for very long, it looks like it's moving around. But when you stop looking at it and you glance away from it and then look back at it again, it's still in that same position. So yeah, but you can't move no object around. Like you just can't, because it's not going to move. It may appear like it's moving if you look at it long enough, but in all actuality, it's not really moving. It's still at its position. It's just basically your eyes is wandering somewhere, so it's like you're in a daydreaming mode. Speculative observationalist. Oh wow. Well, how they move the pyramid blocks? I'm quite sure they ain't use no telekinesis to move no pyramid blocks. I'm sure they ain't use no telekinesis. Telekinesis didn't move no pyramid blocks. It took humans, physical work, physical labor. It took the labor of humans to move those pyramids around. I don't, ain't no telekinesis move nothing around. Only thing, only thing it don't work on is the bills, but I'm. Hmm. Hmm. Oh no, I ain't take all your comments to the heart. No, I was responding to Phyllis' comment, Gullah. Yeah. But yeah, getting back to your comment, Philip, how they move the pyramid blocks, they gotta use labor. You ain't got that telekinesis stuff ain't gonna do it. It ain't gonna cut it. That's not gonna cut it. Well, no matter how many times you practice psychic ability, that ain't gonna cut it though. But I think that telepathy is reasonable. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. Yep. But anyways, I'm not gonna stay on here too long, but I just wanted to. I didn't even intend to stay on here for an hour, to be honest with you. Well, you know what? The water that we drink, especially the ones that comes out the faucet, it comes from those lake. So a lot of time there's a lot of contaminated stuff that might be going on in those lake and rivers that we get our water supplies from. And then that's where you have to study oceanography or oceanology. Oceanology deals with the study of ocean life. So when you study about the ocean life, that's when you might get to the answer of what's going on as far as the chemical is being used in the water, and etc., or why it's contaminated and whatnot. Well, here's something interesting. Speaking of ocean life, what I learned that there is over 71% of oxygen that's inside the water. Why is that? 71% of oxygen come from water is because you got the plant life and you got the animal life that lives underwater. So that submarines, they live underwater more than anything on Earth. So this Earth is covered by 71% of water. So majority of the oxygen gonna come from the organism that lives inside those water. All right. And so you have dead organism in there. Then of course, on top of that, what makes the water contaminated is of course the chemicals that's being thrown into these waters as well. Life came from rust in the ocean due to oxygen. Right. But you'll find out that a lot more oxygen come from those organisms in the water, come from the water life, because the earth is cover of more. There's more water on earth than there is land. So if you look at all these different oceans, like the Atlantic Ocean, the Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, etc., we're surrounded by 71% of water than we are by land. Look at a single cell organism starting from rust and oxygen in the ocean to add on to your statement. I believe it to be true. Yeah. I believe it to be true because that's where a lot of organisms are. You got a lot more organisms that live underwater. You got the algae, you got the plants, you got animals that live underwater. Uh would I go in the middle of the ocean? No, because chances are you will not be able to, like, unless you know how to swim. I don't think it would be a good idea to go into the middle of the ocean. Nah. I don't think so. I mean, unless your ass know how to swim, unless your ass can surf your way up out of there, nah, I don't think that's a smart idea. I mean, you can only go so far. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Yep. But anyways, let me go ahead and get off of here. I just want to give my thoughts on quantum physics and consciousness. I know I added other subjects and other subjects was brought up into this conversation, which that's a good thing. I'm glad that the chat was able to dialogue. I appreciate the people in the chat coming through and having this conversation with me, interacting. So um yeah, but especially Gullah came through with a lot of good information that I was not aware of, that I didn't even know anything about. So I would have to do some homework assignment and look into these things. Um, yeah. So maybe one day, maybe one day I will have Gullah on here if he wants to be on here. So one day I can have you on here. But yeah. But nah, it's all good. I appreciate the chat though. I really do. Y'all was living it up. Y'all was keeping it live. I really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate that though. Y'all was keeping it live though. Y'all was coming through with some information, giving your thoughts and whatnot. Um, yeah, but this was a great convo. This was a great interaction. So I just wanted to just kind of like, just trying to get that off just get the thoughts off my head. And just say what I feel. So this was something that was random, that was randomly done. I just randomly came on here and decided to talk about this subject, quantum physics and consciousness, which is not a very popular subject to talk about. They're not very popular. They're like one of the most boring, overwhelming subjects. But I won't forget that book on absolutism. So I won't forget that book. Uh, and I'll be sure to share that one day with the audience so we can have a dialogue on that and whatnot. All right. All right then. Well, I will check in with you guys later. So you guys please don't be on the lookout. Please be on the lookout for my next video that's coming up. I'm going to be talking about the Gabriel Rebellion, which deals with the slave revolt. So the Gabriel Rebellion was named after Gabriel Poser, who was a slave from Henrico County, Virginia. So I'm going to be talking about the slave revolts. I'm going to get more into it, get more detail about it, etc., and show some source and information behind it. So y'all be on the lookout for that. But other than that, you guys, I'm finna just go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and just call it a night and just chill out and watch the rest of my program. All right. So I'm getting ready to watch some Law and Order. And I'm gonna give y'all my review on Law and Order one day. Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows to watch. So I'm gonna watch some Law and Order or whatnot. Yeah. Yes, I love Special Victim Unit. I love Special Victim Unit. I'm telling you, I love it. I love that show. That's my favorite part of Law and Order. And I like Criminal Intent. And also I'm starting to like what's it called? It's called Organized Crime. So I gotta get into watching more of the organized crime. But yeah, I love Special Victim Unit though. That's my favorite one. That is the best part of the show. That's the most watched on Law and Order. Hey, brother, Kwabena Kwame. Hey, brother Kwame, how you doing? I'm gonna have to get you on here, Kwame, so I can talk to you because you got a lot of great information, especially when it comes to African history. So me and you gonna have to build one day. You just gotta let me know when you're available because I want to get you on here so we can talk more thoroughly into West African history. Since you from the continent and you from West Africa, whatnot, you can share a lot more information. So I'm gonna reach out to you though, brother. David Walker's appeal. Okay, maybe one day we'll hang out. Okay. Yeah, we might hang out one day. I'm watching season 2 of SVU, Special Victim Unit. I gotta watch season 2. I'm going back from the beginning all the way on down to the current because that show been around for like 23 years. Like with that segment of Law and Order been around for 23 years. Law and Order show been around since 1990s. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming through. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming through. Yeah, thank you for coming through. But yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bells, check out the channel, share the channel, all that great stuff. Um, and also check out brother Geechee got a new channel called the Al Jazeera. I think that's what it's called, Al Jazeera. So check out brother Gullah Geechee Jack. He got his channel going. Um, yeah, so yeah, check out the brothers from Team Osiris. They doing their thing. Shout out to brother Malik Kamara, brother Carlos, brother Hero. Also, brother Rakim Shabazz, check out his channel, which is called the Wise Dome TV. He got some great contents on there of people that he interviews and whatnot. As a matter of fact, let me look up Geechee's channel. What's the name of his channel? Give me a second, you guys. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to find out the name of his channel. Well, I'll find it later, but yeah, the name of his channel is called Al Jazeera. So Al Jazeera was considered as the father of evolution. You guys should check him out. Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera. Um, yeah. Yeah. Law and Order is the most watched channel. Like besides CSI, like I like CSI. I like Chicago Police, Chicago what's the other one called? Chicago Fire. I like those other channels, but Law and Order is the best one. I ain't even gonna lie, it's the best one. Like I love watching it though. I really love it. Yeah, he did. Oh yeah, he did teach some information. Yeah, Einstein did. Einstein surely did. All right, then, you guys. I'm about to go ahead and get off of here for real. Y'all gonna keep me up all night. So, all right, but anyways, yeah, make sure you guys tune in later because it's midnight at my time. So, you guys check me out later on. I'm going to no, Ice T actually does a good job on that show on Law and Order. He does a good job. I like his character. Yeah, check me out later on this channel. Like I said, I'm gonna be dealing with Gabriel Rebellion, which deals with the slave revolt. So I'm gonna get into that. Um, I was supposed to do a part two on the blacks and communist and socialist party, but I have not got any information as far as like when that's going to be taking place, what time. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to continue with the part two and part three of that. So I'm going to have to find out. But until then, check me out tomorrow. Check me out later on about the slave revolt, Gabriel rebellions. So we talking about the slave revolt in the United States. Mm-hmm. Y'all keep talking this David Walker appeal. Let me look up David Walker appeal. Y'all talking about this real quick. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Walker's appeal in four articles together with a printable to color citizens of the world, but in particular and very expressly to those of the United States of America. Okay, I'll be sure to look into that. The goal of the appeal was to instill pride in its black readers and give hope that change will someday come. It spoke out against colonization, a popular movement that sought to move free blacks to a colony in Africa. America, Walker believed, belonged to all who helped build it. Okay. Sorry about that. Hmm. All right then. All right then, y'all. But for real, I will check out who James W. Ford is too. I will check him out. All right, so you guys, you guys take it easy though, for real, and I will connect with y'all later. Like seriously. All right, then. Let me go ahead and get off of here. Y'all have a good night. Peace, power, and elevation. Until next time. Be safe.